It's time for Midcap Radar here on CNBC-TV18 this Tuesday afternoon. We are about to head into a midweek holiday, but the bulls are still looking for Santa on Dalal Street because the 200 DMA is proving to be a bit of a headache for the Nifty. I'm Hormuz Fatakia. With me is Vivek Iyer. Vivek, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Like you mentioned, what's actually happening is that you're seeing some green on the screen, but every time there's an attempt to move higher, you're seeing quite a bit of selling pressure emerge. Especially, the IT and the auto stocks are the ones that's actually keeping markets quite subdued.
Indeed, and we'll talk about all of this over the course of the next 30 minutes, but these are the top headlines we're tracking this afternoon. Stocks move in a range ahead of Christmas with several overseas markets, including the US, set to end the sessions early. Energy, autos and realty stocks clock some gains, even as metals, IT and financials lose some ground.
Different stocks rally after brokerages remain upbeat and maintain a positive outlook for 2025. Elara Capital expects ordering to rise sharply in Q4 FY25 for these companies.
Amber Enterprises jumps up to 8% after sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the company is looking to demerge its electronics division and plans to list it separately after the demerger process.
Greaves Cotton shares surged 10% following the company's announcement that its material subsidiary Greaves Electric Mobility Limited filed a DRHP with SEBI for an IPO worth rupees 1,000 crore.
And Network 18's Money Control reports that Tata Capital is likely to float a 15,000 crore rupee IPO in 2025 to meet RBI's upper layer NBFC norms. Stocks of stakeholders like Tata Investment and Tata Motors perk up on the news. Well, that's how the case has been. It's been quiet. It's been down on volumes so far. As before we head into a holiday, absolutely at the flat line is the Nifty. But just as both Vivek and I were mentioning, any attempt to move higher is getting sold into. 23,869 was yesterday's high. And exactly the same level we've hit today as well at 23,867, but we've failed to cross that 200-day moving average, which is around that 23,840 mark as of now for the Nifty. But there are plenty of movers in the broader markets, and there are stocks like Finolex Cables, the Tata Group companies that are moving on. But Upasana is here to tell us more about the mid-caps that are moving in trade this afternoon. Upasana.
First up, let us look at the stocks gaining in today's session. MRPL, Solar Industries, Phoenix Mills, it continues its 2 days gaining streak up about 3.5%, NLC India and even IGL. In terms of top losers, PB Fintech is down about 2% in trade, Intellect Design, Sundaram Finance, NMDC, SAIL, which is down about 1.3%. Now let us look at the stocks on the back of the news flow that remained in focus today. Now Biocon up about 4.5%. That's a strong gain coming in. The company has received DCP approval for its complex formulation liraglutide in European Union. Now, PG Electroplast and Whirlpool also remain in focus as PG Electroplast has signed a definitive agreement for contract manufacturing of semi-automatic washing machine for Whirlpool. Hence, these two stocks we can see clearly gaining in today's trading session. Amber Enterprises also in focus, up nearly about 6% after CNBC reported that according to sources, company is looking to demerge its electronic division. And lastly, even Tata Group stocks continue to remain in focus today. Money Control has reported that Tata Capital is likely to float 15,000 crore IPO in 2025. And we can see Tata Investment up nearly about 8% in trade today, and even Tata Motors gaining on the positive momentum.
Thank you so much for that, Upasana, for highlighting all the top movers as far as the broader end of the markets are concerned. Well, a good time as any to welcome Shrikant Chauhan from Kotak Securities for a technical check on the market. Good afternoon, Shrikant. First up, it's been a very choppy trading session. Markets not been able to hold on to gains. How do you see the benchmark indices move from here?
Good afternoon, Vivek. Good afternoon, Hormuz, and Merry Christmas well in advance to all of you. I think, the markets are really under a lot of pressure. The way the market is comfortably holding below the mark of 200-day simple moving average clearly indicates that there is good amount of selling pressure or maybe liquidation of long position, and that's the reason it is every time whenever it is trying to move there, it is falling from the highs. Even if we consider the put call ratio and the overall option statistics. Then based on that also, the pressure is increasing until the markets are not crossing 24,000. I think we are going to see the market to remain in this range only. So it is better to stay away from taking any specific call on the index. It is like, yes, in case if we see the market is crossing 200 days simple moving average in next, let's say 30-40 minutes, then it's fine. Then we can say that there is like good amount of some short covering is happening. But otherwise, I think the markets are going to remain under pressure. We need to be more and more stock specific in this market. None of the other indices are showing any specific strength. So it is better to be more stock specific in this market.
If you have to be more stock specific, what are the stocks that you are recommending to your clients, Srikanth? And season's greetings to you as well.
Thank you. I think, see, here, like, we need to just hide ourselves in sector like pharma, because there only we are seeing good amount of buying interest, good amount of activity and volume attraction is there. A stock like Aurobindo Pharma, which is currently trading around some 1260, 1265. There, if we see the overall technical formation, then it is diverging positively. And if we see the stock is like holding about around these levels, then the next level to watch out for would be 1400. So at this level, it's a buy with a stop loss close to 1200. The other stock which we like is Fortis Healthcare. And there also, if we see the technical formation, then it is forming triangle sort of formation. So it has been like consolidating since last almost 2 months. And now it is on the verge of crossing its upward boundary. So at this level, it's a buy around 680.85 with a target of 725, 750 on the high side.
Thank you so much for that, Srikanth. Well, one particular stock, especially from the broader end of the markets, ahead of the festive season is UBL. Now, this particular stock is up almost 3.5% today and at the day's highest point. Well, now it's time to introduce the Growth Code, a special initiative by Grow and CNBC-TV18 to further empower retail investors and traders. Renowned investors and professional traders convened at Grow's Trading Night event on November 9th, where they shared valuable strategies. Here are some key insights from Arjun Tandon, partner at Kailasa Capital Advisors, on how to determine your capital requirements.
एक एक्सपेक्टेशन सेट करना ज़रूरी है कि मुझे ट्रेडिंग से इतनी इनकम चाहिए. सो व्हाट इज़ योर फाइनेंशियल गोल? आप क्या चाहते हो कि मेरी मंथली इनकम ट्रेडिंग से कितनी हो, एंड दैट विल डिसाइड योर कैपिटल. सो लेट अस से कि आप कहते हो कि मैं ना 1% रिटर्न तो बना सकती हूँ या बना सकता हूँ. सो योर कैपिटल, अगर आपको मंथली इनकम 50,000 रुपए की चाहिए, योर कैपिटल विल बी 50 lakhs. अगर आपको लगता है कि आप 2% रिटर्न बना लोगे, देन योर कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट इज 25 लाख. एंड सिमिलरली, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि मेरी एक्सपर्टीज बहुत ज़्यादा है, मैंने कुछ क्रैक कर लिया है रिलेटेड टू ट्रेडिंग, आई हैव सम सेटअप्स जहाँ पे बहुत अच्छी रिटर्न्स आ सकती हैं, सो ऑन अ 5% रिटर्न एक्सपेक्टेशन आपको सिर्फ 10 लाख रुपए चाहिए.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, this is our special segment, Midcap Spotlight. Sudarshan joins us and he'll talk to us about Greaves Cotton today.
So stock is in focus today as company has announced that it's going to bring an IPO of its electric mobility arm, that is Greaves Electric Mobility, and for the same, company has filed DRHP. So IPO will be a mix of both fresh issue and the OFS. So via fresh issue, company is looking to raise up to ₹1,000 crore, and in the OFS, company that is Greaves Cotton will be selling 5.1 crore shares, and other major shareholder, that is Abdul Latif Jamil Green Mobility, and it will be selling 13.8 crore shares. Talk about the major shareholders. So Greaves Cotton currently holds 62.5% stake, and Abdul Latif Jamil Green Mobility holds 37.5% stake in the electric mobility arm of Greaves Cotton. So what is company going to use the proceeds of the IPO? First, it says it will be using and investing in the product research. Also, it will develop and build battery assembly capabilities, and looking to invest to boost manufacturing capacity of electric mobility going forward. So going ahead, we'll be looking for SEBI's approval and another what exactly company says about on the valuation front. So on the back of this today, Greaves Cotton stock is sharply higher and up around 13%.
Well, it's the time of buzzwords that we live in, isn't it? Sudarshan, thanks a lot for that. AI, EV, you put an EV buzzword in a stock and it shoots through the roof. That's what's happening with Greaves Cotton right now. 13% higher on the filing of a DRHP. And 260 is where Greaves Cotton currently stands at. But moving on to the aviation sector, where Jefferies is positive on that. Domestic air passenger growth has now jumped to 12% in the month of November on a year-on-year basis. Now, in fact, Indigo is also surging in trade today as Elara Capital has upgraded the stock to a buy. Winnie, a second positive call in 2 days.
So yes, specifically in terms of the air traffic data, good traction is what one has seen in the month of November. India's domestic air passenger, that has seen a growth of around 12% on a year-on-year basis, as well as versus October, it was just 8%. First half of the year, it was 5%. And Indigo itself, they've seen a 15% growth on a year-on-year basis in the month of November. In November, the industry's also achieved that milestone of 500K domestic passengers in a day. Indigo overall, when you look at it, the occupancy has climbed to 90% in the month of November, which is the second best November since almost 5 years. And so far in the month of December also, the traction and the occupancy that they're seeing there is also around in the 90% range. So good numbers is what we're expecting coming in from Indigo. They've maintained that 60% plus market share even in the month of November. On the other hand, for Air India, the shares was down. Overall, the share was down to 27.3%, which is an 11-month low. So one person's gains and another person's loss over there is what we're keeping an eye out on. But ATF prices, they have remained in a range. So that is a key positive for Indigo going forward as well, or even the aviation sector as a whole. Now, yesterday, do not forget that Elara came out with a note, a double upgrade coming in, buy rating, target price is also 5,309 rupees. And previous target price was 3,847 rupees per share. So yes, couple of positives coming in here in terms of tailwinds, demand trends, and that is clearly seen in the domestic passenger traffic data.
Thank you so much for that, Winnie. But from aviation to pharma, you've also been tracking healthcare today, and Biocon is the stock in focus. An important generic drug approval coming its way. Tell us more.
Absolutely, Vivek. So, what we're keeping an eye out on is that this was a procedural approval. The company had highlighted that they would be coming out with this very soon. Now, the company and the European partner, that is Zentiva, have received this DCP, and this approval is for a complex formulation, which is liraglutide. Now, do not forget, liraglutide is a generic version of Victoza's treatment drug, which they have, which is a type 2 diabetes drug. It's a generic of that one. Now, this drug is used for treatment of diabetes as well as in terms of weight management, which is the trend which has been picking up. GLP-1 opportunity even for Biocon is what they've spoken about. And just a quick highlight in terms of the Q2 highlights that the management said, they expect formulation is something that will be driving the growth for the company in the second half of the year. They've spoken about liraglutide, launch in the UK and other markets in H2 FY25. Now, we've seen it in the European market as well, the approval coming in the European Union side. As well as liraglutide has already filed. The company has filed for this with the US FDA as well, and they are under review on that process. So that could be expected sometime soon. So a lot of positives coming in for Biocon, and this one specifically is a positive because global sales for Victoza as a brand last year was around $1 million, and out of that 50% was for the rest of the world. In that rest of the world, if you would include European Union just itself, that would be around 200 million to 300 million sales coming in only from the European Union side. So big opportunity surely shaping up for Biocon here.
Indeed, Vinny, thanks a lot for that. At the highest point of the day now is Biocon, 4.5% higher as we speak. Time for a short break. More on the markets on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, like we've been highlighting, every time the Nifty attempts to go higher, there is some selling pressure that we are seeing at the higher levels. Have a look at the Nifty, almost into the red territory. A couple of stocks are that you can look at. Look at SBI, stock down near the day's lowest point. Another name, telecom company, which is IndusInd. That's the other stock. After a brief rally in the morning session, that particular stock too has seen quite a bit of a sell-off. And the other stock from the broader end of the market that's seen quite a bit of selling pressure is actually Sun TV, down almost 3%. And the sell-off in Sun TV has accelerated in the last half hour or so. But moving on, sources are telling CNBC-TV18 that Amber Enterprises may be looking to demerge one of its key businesses. Sudarshan, who broke the story earlier in the day, is here with more details.
So Amber Enterprises has three divisions: consumer durables, electronics and railway subsystems. Now we understand from sources that company is looking to demerge its electronic divisions, and once the demerger is done, it might bring the IPO for the same. And company is already, what we understand from sources, that company has already appointed bankers for the same demerger and for the IPO process. Now talking about the revenue for the electronics division, in FY24, this division had formed almost 20% of the total revenue. But if we talk about the Q2 FY25, electronics division had formed 30% of total revenue and had almost double if you compare year on year. Now coming to the valuation front, for Amber Enterprises, FY26 estimated P is at 54 times. Now compare peer to peer, for Dixon, it's almost 99 times. Now on the stock front in 2024, Amber Enterprises stock has almost increased by more than 100%, and at the same time, Dixon stock has given positive returns of more than 200%. As far as the story is concerned, CNBC-TV18 has written to the management, but comments are still awaited.
Sudarshan's news break sent the stock 7.5% to 8% higher at one point of time. It's given up some of those gains, but still holding on to a 5% advance is Amber Enterprises. What a year it has been for all of these ERMS companies, right?
If you look at the stock price yesterday, or if you pick up, the 5-day chart, yesterday the stock was higher by almost 12%, and it's added on to the rally today. So, looks like something is in the offing as Sudarshan has been picking up. But, again, like you mentioned, Amber Enterprises, the stock of the week for sure.
Well, Sudarshan's news breaks are most... Sudarshan never gets a news break wrong, but we look forward to that as we wrap on this edition of Midcap Radar. Here is some good news for our viewers. India's business news leader is now just a click away, introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app, and get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles and financial world updates at your fingertips. You can download the app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. From Vivek, me and the team that put this show together, it's a goodbye. MF Corner up next.